All right, thanks again. I appreciate the honor. Yeah, not necessary, but appreciated for sure. So I'm going to kind of do what Stephen talked about, just kind of give you an update of what I've been working on all year. A lot of you may not know I play a lot of roles for the county, so I serve as the Ag and Natural Resources Director out of the Community Development Office. I service the Lake Restoration Commission as their facilitator. I also work for the Mercer Soil and Water Conservation District as their engineer. So I'm going to just give you a little highlights of what I've been working on. I guess I don't talk about this a lot, but I get asked to speak at a lot of different events throughout the year. So I went back through the year and kind of highlighted every place I went, who I talked to throughout the year, and you can kind of see that conglomeration of presentations I've given specifically on Grand Lake St. Mary's. Maybe it's a project we've done, or a summary of all the wetlands in Grand Lake, or just Grand Lake health in general. So I've estimated I reached at least 500 to 600 new faces in 2025, and gave a presentation nearly every month of the year. March always seems to be a very popular month for seminars, so I get to go all over the place in that month. So I want to talk about Harmon Preservation Project. I think it's been mentioned here before. 2025 was a big year. It was the year that we were able to acquire the land. So we use Clean Ohio funds. Clean Ohio is a bonded program in the state of Ohio that's funded through our tax dollars to put land into green space. So we are in an 8-county district, and it's kind of north Logan County, Shelby County, Van Wert, Paulding. That's kind of our area. I sit on their Natural Resources Assistance Council, so I get to review the applications. But Mercer County, Auglaize County, the Lake Facilities Authority has been pretty good about trying to submit an application every year. And that's how we've acquired all the land that we've gotten to put these wetlands on. So as part of that project, I get to facilitate the land transaction, work with an attorney, and do all of those pieces that are required by the Clean Ohio process. It's no easy feat, and it does take a while, especially when you have a realtor in there trying to push you to go faster. And it's like, oh, it's government money. We can only go as fast as we can go. So that was a big feat. We're excited to hopefully go back and apply to the Clean Ohio program again to do construction on this site. They do allow any land that's been purchased with the program to go back and get a one-time construction grant to do improvements on the property. So that's kind of our plan. This is a schematic I put together. It's pretty rough and you probably can't see it very well, but the hope is to pump water from Barnes Creek over to the site. It's about 50 acres, about 40 of which are actually available for construction. There is some wooded land that we want to leave alone and not touch. The goal is to treat 2 million gallons a day and maybe plant some trees, do some different things on the site to make it another area available to the public for walking and enjoyment, and then get the added benefit of water quality improvement. One other thing I did with this was I was asked to work with a group of students at the University of Toledo. So I had them take this project on, and they designed it for me, their own unique take on it. And I had given them some examples, so I'll be honest, their examples were almost identical to a similar project we have in Mercer County. So I don't know that I got a whole lot out of it, but they sure did. So that was an exciting experience for them and for me. So hopefully this project will be under construction in 2027, assuming we can get the funding lined up here in 2026 and get things ready to go. Stephen mentioned the Red Wing Nature Preserve, and I know I've talked about it before, but that was one big project that got constructed this year. Appears everything's working. The only final item is to plant the wetland plants. We do that as a frost seeding. So we go out there when the ground's frozen, we scatter that seed across the surface, and then that freeze-thaw action draws that seed down into the ground and gets a really good establishment of those wetland plants. And then we'll baby it next year and try to get everything going well. And then we are going to add some signage we're working with ODNR on that. We're going to have a little informational sign that'll be more of an interactive thing that comes from the H2 Ohio program. One other thing I'm currently involved in that you may not know about is the TAP program. So this is another thing funded by H2 Ohio. It's put on by Ohio EPA, and this is their second round of doing this project. The first round is, the whole purpose of this is to solicit new technologies, innovative technologies, things that are up and coming and that need help getting them to market. So some of the technologies that were funded in round one included automated drainage water management. So that's those boxes you put on the tile. They've always had to be manually manipulated in the past, but there's new technology that allows you to do that from your phone. So that was one of the projects. The Quick Wash, I've talked about Quick Wash before. I've worked with that technology quite a bit. It's taking the phosphorus out of the manure and having a beneficial byproduct. Struvite is a very similar idea, but different technology where you're pulling the nutrients out of the manure and using that as a solid fertilizer, and then electrocoagulation of manure. And I know about these, but I don't want to take too much time and explain every one, but I am on the review committee for 2.0. All those applications were just due here at the beginning of December, so over the next 6 weeks, I'll be reviewing about 20 applications and determining who's going to move forward, and hopefully have some exciting new technologies coming to help improve water quality. That's the ultimate goal. I don't know if this YouTube video will work, but is there sound? No. All right. We won't worry about it then. But you can Google that.
We'll put it online.
Yeah, you can put it online. I'm in a couple of the videos, but this is one on the Struvite process. And that was conducted in conjunction with the Andersons out of Toledo. Switching gears, a lot of my soil and water work, I've gotten a lot of grants for two-stage ditches. These aren't in Grand Lake, St. Mary's necessarily, but in Mercer County. A lot of the funding is for everything draining to the Lake Erie Basin. We had a ton of these projects go in this year. It was a very busy fall. This is one of the projects called Green Ditch. It's north of Salina, and in total, the ditch itself is 16,000 feet from where it starts to where it enters the downstream ditch. We converted, I believe, 12,000 of those 16,000 feet to two-stage ditch. This was a huge undertaking, and we're still not finished quite yet, but final touch-ups in the spring. That was a massive project. This is another one up closer to Mendon called the Harner-Dickey-Woodell two-stage ditch. This one's about 6,000 feet. Again, from start to finish, we took that entire ditch and transformed it into a two-stage ditch. I know I've talked about this before, but you think of your traditional trapezoidal ditch, you've got a trapezoidal section with pretty steep side slopes and then a flat bottom, and not a lot of space for the water. The floodplain's somewhat disconnected, so by doing the two-stage, we're making that ditch wider, we're flattening the slide slopes, and we're trying to connect that floodplain back into the actual ditch. So we have more grass, we have more contact time, the water with the grass, to keep the water cleaner and keep the sediment in that ditch versus going downstream to Lake Erie in this case. That's the whole purpose of these ditch projects. This one was a fantastic project, great contractor, great landowners, very simple, got it done, easy, that's the way we like them. This is kind of a ground level view of one of them. This is the Mormon Ditch, again, kind of up by Mendon area. This one's about 3,600 feet of ditch, drains directly into the St. Mary's River. One challenge we've had this year is the dry weather is tough to get grass established, but we use erosion control blanket. So you can start to see the grass coming in this picture, but you can see we have a base channel come up with a bench, which is a flat area, and then we flatten those side slopes as we come out to the field level. So I spend a lot of time on these projects, overseeing construction, the design work, and all the things involved. Last but not least, Mercer Soil and Water is kicking off their tree sales. Every spring, they do a tree seedling sale. I have order forms here today. You're welcome to take one. They're very reasonably priced seedlings. They come in April 7th to the 9th is when you can pick them up, and we're taking orders through March 6th. Currently, the Soil and Water is working on updating their website, so they're hoping to get the form online after the first of the year. So it won't be available, the forms won't be available online, only on Facebook and at the office. So feel free to take one today. I can leave all the copies I have here today, and then you can pick up your trees in April. So kick off the spring. Any questions? Yes, sir.
With the two-stage ditch, obviously it takes more land. How has it been working with landowners on?
Yeah, it does. I mean, in most cases, we're doubling the width of the ditch, so it is taking up land that they're losing. I'll be honest, we did our first one in 2020, and we've had request after request after request to do them. And they don't bat an eye about losing an acre or two, because for them, they're getting the benefit of getting their ditch cleaned out, they're getting it stabilized. You know, we address any sort of erosion concerns in the ditch as we go through the project. So yeah, that they recognize that they're gonna lose a little bit, but that outweighs, you know, the little bit of headache that they've had through the project. And then they get the other benefit that we do is we put this on the county maintenance program. So we take it through a petition process that's outlined in Ohio Revised Code. And then the landowners have to pay a fee, yearly maintenance fee. But the engineer's office goes in, they spray that ditch, they mow it if necessary. And then if it needs dipped out in the future, all those funds that they're collecting through the maintenance program allows us to do that. So that's a big benefit to them as well. They no longer have to worry about the maintenance on that ditch. So it hasn't slowed down yet after 5 years. Now in Grand Lake, we haven't seen as much interest in these types of projects. Grand Lake farmers are a little bit more protective of their land than maybe up north. So there's just a little bit of difference in the social aspect, I guess, in farmers in Grand Lake versus up north. It's interesting. Any other questions? All right, thanks again.